Hi everyone, wanted to talk to you about pain. It's been one of those days where I've been in sessions and I'm still in my office finishing up the day. And something, it's been a discussion that I've had with several groups of friends of mine about us having different kinds of pains and how we tend to compare pain and how we tend to then judge pain. So let's first start by talking about the different kinds of pain. So I believe we are mind, body, spirit, right? So in that, we have our physical pain, we have our emotional pain, and we have, of course, our spiritual soul pain. So our physical pain, of course, is, aches and pains. Like today, I stumbled a little bit and I hurt my toe. I didn't see the edge, the level, big deal, right? But it still hurts, it's as little as it is. But then I'm reminded of, friends that I've visited, friends who have family who are literally physically just stuck in their bodies. I don't have to even think about them. I mean, I work in a hospital, you go to ALFs, you look around, there are people who are literally just trapped in their body, right? Bed rest, can't do anything for themselves for one reason or another. And age has nothing to do with it because I know people personally whose bodies started shutting down, and they're in their teens and early 20s, and they're just starting off their life, and they're trapped in their body. Can't don't have function over it, and mind's alert, but it's just a matter of time before the mind goes. So that's the physical pain, right? People are just trapped in their bodies, waiting to literally just their checkout date, right? Can't seem to get up on their own, can't feed themselves, can't go use the bathroom on themselves, are dependent on others, their family members. You also have people then that are, you know, the emotional pain kicks in for, in this case, where you just, you don't want to be trapped. You're even, especially if your mind is alert and awake and you're aware of what's going on, but physically it's like you're in a coma, but you're not, right? Horrible place to be. So what is that about? I have no idea. I can only sort of gauge. And I was having a lot of discussions with about this because I'm seeing a lot of this in my very near circle. Friends that are living with family members with this, and it's they accept it so beautifully and gracefully. And of course, as someone that's not in the family, that's not used to this, it's a little shocking to me, right? And I have to really, really remove the judgment out of it. Is it karma? I don't know. How do I, who am I to judge if it's karma or not, right? Who am I to judge? Because the minute we talk about karma, Rhonda, I see that. I'm going to get to this in a minute. The minute I talk about karma, I'm making a judgment saying, it's their karma that is punishing them, right, to be trapped in their body. Well, I don't know that, right? It might be where they might have taken that on. They might have agreed to that, to experiencing that pain, being trapped in their body, to learn whatever lessons they're supposed to learn. That's between them and their higher power. It's not our place to judge. But it is physical pain nonetheless. As many of you know, I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I do work on the psychiatric unit of a local hospital, and I'm in private practice with patients. My patients are as young as 5, and they range all the way up in their 60s. And so I deal with the emotional, psychological aspect of pain, right? I deal with patients when they come in, when they've been Baker acted. So in the state of Florida, like other states, when someone is a threat to themselves or others, they can be Baker acted. Let's talk about the unawareness of when others are inflicting pain on others and either are unaware or do not care. Yeah, well, that's just incurring more karma, right? When someone is unaware of the pain that you're, and I'm guessing you mean psychological pain, Rhonda, please clarify. When someone is inflicting pain on others, you're just incurring karma. I believe that, and that's gonna play itself out. I'm not sure what the question is here. Be a little more specific, my dear, so I can address it if I possibly can. But anyways, emotional pain is you know, it is a little trickier because you don't see it, right? As a therapist, and because I've worked in the psych unit along with my dear friend Ursula, who just joined as a nurse, and all my other amazing coworkers who do this day in day out, and I love the people I work with. You really have to be a very special and unique person to do what we do. But when we've seen being there for as long as I have, I've seen what depression looks like, from mild depression to severe depression when someone is catatonic, right? I've seen what schizophrenia looks like. I've seen what dementia looks like. I've seen what bipolar, when someone comes in completely off the wall, and then after being medicated for a few days, now they're normal, and you wonder, why are they even here? You know, I've seen the entire spectrum of as much as I can in terms of the psychological, emotional pain and what that shows up as. And so I'm at a point now where I can walk into a restaurant or any kind of facility and look around, and just by observing, I think I can pretty much gauge some stuff that people are going through. I can pretty much diagnose. Am I completely 100% right? Absolutely not. Of course not. But it's not that I'm psychic. We all are psychic, but that's not what I'm using here. It's just that I've seen what emotional pain looks like in the different faces of it. So I just can tell, and I pick up on vibrations from that person. So unfortunately, there's so much. People are in a lot of pain. People are in a lot of pain around us. Depression comes up in many different ways. You've got depression that comes up. So you've got, I guess we're going to talk about depression. So depression comes up where you've got a chemical imbalance of your body not producing and again, I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so forgive my layman's way of explaining this. But your body's not, if your body is supposed to make neurotransmitters that fit in, your body's not doing that. So instead of fitting in, it's creating something weird, and it's not fitting in. And so that's where the imbalance comes in. What causes that? Well, many things can. You've got, you might be born with a genetic, predisposition to it. It might be in your genetic linear. You might have experienced some kind of pain, some kind of, abuse, trauma, neglect, whatever, that might cause you to, experience depression. You might also have something external happen. So, for example, an example that I use all the time is that, when 9/11 happened, it doesn't matter whether you knew someone or whether you didn't, right? We were all impacted as a country. US, America, we changed. We were all impacted. Our entire country went into shock and depression. And then some came out of it, some never did. Why is that? Well, it's just we all react differently, and so for some, it was so impactful that it literally changed the neurotransmitters of our brain, and we never really recovered from 9/11 depression. And it could be anything. It doesn't have to be 9/11. It could be, you losing someone in your family, you having a traumatic experience, you be bullied, you be whatever. Two people go through 9/11, and one never gets out of that, and the other one says, yes, it is sad, but you make your peace and you move on, and life is okay for the most part. And that tends to be the case with any kind of trauma. So that's why, it's really hard, and it's really impossible, and really you should not judge anyone going through any kind of a psychological sort of issue, because you never know, what baggage, what history they bring into it that prevents them from recovering, per se, and what sets them off. And then, of course, there's spiritual pain. It's just, I've talked about this in the very first video I did a few weeks ago. you know, where we're all, most of us are sleepwalking through life, you know, but there's a awakening happening in the world. And, you know, there's a shift in the energy, and we're all waking up, and we're all sort of, you know, starting to ask questions like, you know, what are we doing here? Why are we here? What's the bigger purpose? You know, we're all looking, we're all searching, you know, we're all saying there has to be something bigger than whatever it is that I'm doing. There has to be bigger than just me getting up, going to work, and, you know, doing the day-to-day mundane. There has to be a bigger thing in life. And I think that's where the awakening happens, is, you know, just the awareness that there, just like the rumble starts to happen within each of us. And then we start to ask the questions, and then we hopefully, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and then you start to sort of receive information. You read an interesting book, you have an interesting conversation. Maybe this little, you know, video, you know, sparks something in you. A conversation, you know, with a friend, something on TV, whatever it is, you know, you start to shift, and you start to sort of take the blinders off and start to open up, and you start to awaken. And, you know, I'll tell you, meditation is an amazing, amazing thing. I need to do a vlog on meditation, hopefully soon. I think I'm waiting till I go through my own little process before I come to that. I will, maybe I'll share something about the different types of meditations and whatnot. The little that I know, I'll share with you maybe in the next video. But anyways, for now, I wanted to talk about, so there's physical pain, emotional pain, and psychological pain, which is emotional pain, and then spiritual pain. We all have them. That's just part of being human. I think the fact that we are in a body, that brings with it, right? It just sort of brings that with it. But pain, you know, also allows us the opportunity to be grateful. It allows us opportunity to be, to learn. You know, we learn a lot through pain, a lot through pain. I was talking to my boss, you know, my boss, and I call her my boss, the one that I'm under private practice. You know, she's a very Christian, devout woman, you know, an amazing woman of faith, right? And, you know, and we were discussing this earlier this week, and just talking about, you know, our clients and just the pain that some of them are going through. You know, I mean, I'm complaining about my little toe being stubbed. I mean, shit, you know, but I've got people here who have kids who have like cerebral palsy, and not one, both kids, and they're not working, and, you know, the husbands are abusive and they're leaving. And then I've got another, I mean, just, I can't share details, of course, but, you know, it's just, it's a lot that people go through, right? You've got the physical aspect of pain that I see my friends and my, you know, who've got loved ones that are trapped in their bodies. And then I've got, you know, the psychological aspects of pain that are still very physical, because these are kids, you know, these are families that are, there's nothing they can do about it. You know, she tells me, help my son. And my concern is, what can I do to help you today? Because I've never seen you at your end like this. I'm afraid you're going to do something that you might regret. How can I help take your stress off so that you can then go home and deal with your child who has cerebral palsy, who is out of control, who needs more than what I can offer him in terms of therapy? You know, but it also, you know, made me think about something that we do. We compare pain, right? Which is what I just did. I compared my little pain of stubbing my toe and everything else that I'm dealing with life right now, you know, and with the pain of this mother and the pain of this other, you know, mother, and my friends. And, you know, we compare pain. Is it fair to compare pain? I don't know. I think that's the wrong question. I think it's just something we do. And we do it in two extremes, right? So we either say, well, my pain is nothing compared to your pain, right? Which is one thing where you're minimizing your own pain. And the other end of that, excuse me, I sprayed some air freshener. Now I'm having a hard time breathing. So that's why I keep gasping for air. The other pain is where you minimize the other person's pain, right? So you go, oh, well, you know, you haven't lost as much as I have, so you possibly couldn't know what it is to feel the pain that I do. Those are two extreme opposites of, you know, comparing pain. You either minimize yourself's, your own pain, or you minimize somebody else's pain. I don't think either one is okay to do. You know, either way, it's a bad thing. It's not a positive thing. Pain is pain. It doesn't matter whether it's me stubbing my toe and me hurting myself and whatever else I'm dealing with right now, versus my friends or my clients, who have this serious, severe stuff that they're dealing with. It's just pain, and I think pain requires compassion. First of all, I think compassion from ourselves, right? And then compassion from everyone around us. I don't think it's fair when put yourself down and say, my pain is not enough. Like, okay, yeah, so you know what? I've had a rough life, but who am I to complain? Because look at them; they've had so much worse. No, your pain is pain, and it's valid because it's shaped and influenced who you are. Versus somebody else's pain, and I've got the other end of the spectrum where I've got people saying, well, why are they complaining? They haven't been through what I've gone through. Look at the stuff that I've experienced, and my pain is so much worse, and I've lost so many family members, and da 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 da. But that, again, that doesn't help either, because now you're just literally in a selfish sort of sorry about that. So you're in a self-absorbed mode where, you're then talking about, it's you, yourself, and you, and everybody else is whatever. What do we do? Well, I think we just stop the judgment, right? Let's just, stop the judgment in terms of stop being so hard on ourselves, and let's stop being so hard on other people. And let's just recognize that, pain is pain. Pain is here to teach us something. Again, what is it here to teach us? Every experience that is happening in our lives, as painful as it is for yourself or the people around you in your life, it is here to teach you something. Sometimes it's simple and it's obvious. Other times it's not obvious. Other times it's, it takes a little bit. You have to sort of almost go through it and then sort of, look back and go like, that's what the lesson was, right? But it helps to not judge. It helps to not compare. And it helps to just acknowledge that, we all have pain. We all have our own version of pain, and either way is okay. So, just let's learn from the pain that we have. Let's find, what am I supposed to learn from this experience, and go from there, right? I hope this has been helpful. If there's any questions, please inbox me or feel free to, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. But thank you, and I appreciate it, and God bless.